Hi, and welcome to the Selling in the Motor Trade podcast in association with CarWow, the online car-changing destination. Together, we share tips and ideas on how to sell more cars, improve your service department, and generally put more profit into your department, dealership, or dealer group. I'm your host, Simon Bowkett, or some of you might already know me as Skippy. Firstly, I just want to say thank you for taking the time to listen to this podcast. Hi, welcome to another episode of Selling in the Motor Trade. What do you reckon the number one reason why brand new salespeople fail in the motor trade? Is it process? You'd probably think I'd be talking about process, make sure they understand the process, a sales process, whatever yours is. No, I don't think it's that. Is it product knowledge, knowing about the product and so forth? Possibly, I think that's important, but customers do so much research before they get to us nowadays, either phoning in or emailing in. Is it laziness? Guys, I don't think someone signs up to work the hours we do in the motor trade if they're naturally lazy. I just don't buy it, okay? They might become lazy, but even that I kind of doubt. They don't see value in doing that demonstration drive or that video on the car, blah, 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 okay? Now, I'll tell you what I reckon the number one reason is. Fear of rejection. People can't put up with the no's, okay? In fact, my first boss said to me, never forget, Simon, shy salespeople raise skinny kids. What do you think he meant by that? Hey, listen, if you're too shy to ask for the business, you're gonna not earn enough money to feed your kids. So shy salespeople raise skinny kids. It's rejection. Now, Rex had a different way to explain it to me. Okay, but someone told me about there's a video I've seen on YouTube, and you've just got to go and look at it. A guy goes in to a donut place, Krispy Kreme donuts, and just Google that, okay? And it's had something like 5 or 6 million views now. And he just asks, hey, would you make me donuts in the shape of the Olympic rings? Expecting someone to say no, but listen, I won't give away the punchline there. Go and watch the video yourself, but you'll be amazed actually what happens. So I had to find out what is this all about. And it's a man called Chiang. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that name right. My apologies. But this is a guy that through his life, he said he was struggling with rejection. He would say that, there's so many people we get on in business and in life where he wasn't able to do it. He talked about the amount of times he was in a board meeting with a Fortune 500 company. He had a really good idea he wanted to talk about, but he didn't say it in front of other people because of that rejection. Rex Keane, he said to me, I was single at the time. He said, hey, Simon, who is one of your favorite pop stars? Someone that you would fancy, or a celebrity on TV, or a movie star, or someone that I would know who it is? I actually said, Danny Minogue. He said, oh, good choice. Okay. He said, if you knew beyond a shadow of a doubt that if you asked Danny Minogue to go out with you, she would say, yes, definitely. Would you ask her out? Yeah, of course I would. Why? Was she asking after me? No, she won't, you stupid man. Don't be so silly. Okay. But he said, well, why wouldn't you speak to Danny Minogue now? Or a Danny Minogue lookalike now? He said, you're scared of rejection. But what's the worst thing that could happen? She could say no. And actually, I think that's the same with car salespeople. We've got to ask a trial close question. Now, listen, there's lots of them out there. At the end of a demonstration drive, we want to make sure that the car's right before it gets to the numbers. And there's so many variations of, hey, if everything stacks up right, is this the car you'd like to be driving the next 2 or 3 years? Or do you like it? You like enough to want to own it? So what you're telling me is we just got to get the numbers right. That's the car for you. Okay. Listen, apart from the numbers, is there anything stopping you want to own this car? All we're trying to do there is make sure the car's right before we get into the numbers. The amount of times I'll hear salespeople on a training course, they think they've asked that question, but they softened it. Okay. Do you think if we can kind of get the numbers right, this might be the car that you'd like to be driving for the next 2 or 3 years? They almost give the customers an out there. They come across with no confidence. And the customer says, yeah, sure. But they haven't got commitment. In fact, don't we do that with relationships? Now, my wife is Emma. I met her. She was the business manager in the dealership I was working at. And I'll be in trouble talking about my wife on this, okay? But I hope she doesn't mind. Actually, if she minds, you might never even see this episode. But I remember, I thought, oh, I quite like her. It's that first date moment, okay? And it's a bit sort of scary, isn't it? Because what if someone says no? All I had to say is, hey, listen, after work, do you want to have a drink after work? Would you like to go and have a coffee? Hey, lunchtime, should we go and get some lunch? Okay. There's so many things I could have done, which is just nice, yes. But remember, soften it. So, Emma, do you think maybe the staff do that we got on Friday? Do you think should I maybe pick you up from work? And she said, yeah, that'd be lovely. And then I thought, yeah, I'll get the other guys as well and pick you up. Guys, I want it to be a date. It should have been a date. I really fancied her, but I was worried about the rejection and coming across and getting that no. And actually, I'd been a salesperson. I was the sales manager of the dealership at that point, but it's a natural human trait. The same thing happens when it comes to the close. We know we just need to ask the closing question and shut up. Shall we secure it? Hey, did you want to do that over the 36 months? Or is it more comfortable for you over the 48? Hey, you said you wanted the PDK gearbox, and we've got that for you. You said you wanted to pick the car up on the 16th of the next month before the school holidays start, and we can have that for you on that date. You said you wanted a meteor grey, and we can get that color for you. You said you want to keep your payments under $890 a month, and we're coming in at $845. So it sounds like we found the right car for you. And shut up. Okay. Or, hey, listen, I'll be able to have the car for you ready for you on next Thursday. Or would you do me a favor? Will you give me till Friday just to get that car right? A nice ask, a simple closing question, and then shut up. And too often I get salespeople either don't ask the question. In fact, that happens lots. Salespeople say, oh, Skippy, I was told just to put the deal in front of a customer and then shut up. Okay. Well, yes, you've got to be quiet, but you've got to ask the closing question first. I think sometimes that's their excuse. Or sometimes salespeople, they put the deal in front of the customer and they say, so what do you think? What are your thoughts? How's that sound? I think they're almost softening it because they're worried about the rejection, the same as I was when I asked my wife out on that first date. So how do we overcome rejection if it's a natural thing built into us? And why is it built into us? You know, from what I read, it's back to caveman days. You see, back in caveman days, we wanted to be part of the group, not outside the group. Because part of the group, it was safety in numbers. Outside the group, it was almost certain death. Because we needed to rely on other people for basic survival. We needed someone that was the expert at hunting and fishing and growing stuff, someone to keep an eye out at night when the rest of the group is sleeping so a saber-toothed tiger doesn't come and get them. So actually, rejection outside the group was almost certain death. Now, on this day and age, rejection is not going to be certain death. But even go back to school, where you were picked for the football team, on what side? Didn't you hate to be the last person picked? You wanted to be the first, didn't you? Because there's that fear of rejection is just bubbling under the surface. I think it's in all of us. So how do we get over it? I can tell you, this guy, he's got a great idea there. He said, you know what? I'm going to go and get some rejection, as much objection as I possibly can over the next 100 days. Okay. And he said, I'm going to ask for some silly things and just see how people react. And the idea is if I get lots of no's, he'll almost desensitize himself to the no. Actually, a light bulb went off in my head. That's where some experienced salespeople, some great salespeople, maybe they've just desensitized themselves to rejection at this stage. So let me tell you some of the stuff he does. And I don't want to steal his thunder, okay? But first one, he goes up to a stranger and just asks, hey, listen, would you loan me $100? He tells the story great where he goes into his office. He finds a big burly bloke. He goes up to him and said, and his heart was beating out of his chest there. Okay. And actually, I thought it might be easy because it's pretty much, it's going to be a no. That would help. But he walks up there and said, excuse me, to this big burly bloke. Can I save sorry, would you loan me $100? The guy laughs and said, no. Why? But actually, think that through. The guy did say no. You'd expect him to say no. But he still said, why? Why do you want the $100? Now, this guy tells a story brilliantly where he never waited, okay, around. He just ran. He just thought, goodness me, how many times in my life had he done stuff like that? He asked a question or he got some sort of objection. And he didn't ask why. Okay, that's the first one. Okay, so the next one, he thought, right, okay, I'm teaching myself to desensitize myself to rejection. So the next one, he went into quite funny, into a burger restaurant. At the end of it, he ate his meal. He went up and said, excuse me, can I have a burger refill? Because a what? He says, kind of like a drink refill, but it's just a burger. The guy goes, no, mate, we don't do that here. That's not a thing. He learned from his first experience. He said, why? He said, well, I don't know why they don't do it. We just do a drink. I don't know if it's too expensive or whatever, but I suppose I can speak to the manager about it. Have a look at this. Just by saying why, the guy's forcing to explain his reasons. Okay. Listen, when you get the rejection, that's not enough for my car. Okay. Down the road's cheaper. That monthly payment's too high. I'm not paying that amount. Okay. If you don't learn any of the text we talk about, just clarify why the customers give you that objection. And you'd be amazed how many times customers almost talk themselves out of the objection themselves. Now, don't get me wrong, there's so many other techniques that might work better, but actually have a look at this. He's asked something stupid. Can I have a burger refill? I don't know if I'd have the balls to ask that in a restaurant, but he did. But guys, number 3, the donuts. He thought, you know what? I'm going to ask why. He goes into a Krispy Kreme and he says, hey, listen, can I have 5 donuts, Krispy Kreme donuts in the shape of the Olympic symbols? He said he knew it's just going to be a no. There's no chance they can do that. It's just going to be a no because all he wanted to do is get 100 rejections to actually desensitize himself to it. It didn't work. Day 3, the lady, you got to watch the video, okay? Turns around and says, oh, really, what color are they? How do they work? Are they intertwined? I can't remember what they look like. What colors were they? Actually, it's got to go into the proofer, and then it's got to go into the front. I don't know how we could do that. How we do it? She gets a piece of paper out. She starts drawing it. She scratches her heads there, okay? And then, you know what? 15 minutes later, you guessed it. Go and have a look and see what turns up. But guys, let's take it back into our world, the motor trade. Shy salespeople raise skinny kids. Salespeople, sales managers, listen to this. I think rejection is why lots of our salespeople don't ask the closing question. So you've got to tee it up to them. I want lots of little yeses to get the big yes. Okay. Hey, listen, you said you traveled to Galway. Okay. The adaptive cruise control, they'll make life a lot easier on that long journey, won't it? That's a small little yes. Now, the way we teach that is there's lots of little yeses to get the big yes. But tell you what, it's great for the it's great for the customer's psyche. But I think it's as important for our salespeople to get those little yeses. I think it's important for a salesperson to ask that mental ownership question. Hey, Mr. and Mrs. Customer, you said you're a golfer. What golf course do you play at? The Belfry. Okay. Hey, this will be nice next time you go to the Belfry, won't it? You see, that's a mental ownership question, but it might give your salesperson the confidence to ask that closing question and put up with that rejection until they become seasoned to it. Now, experienced people, you're going to get seasoned to rejection all the time. In fact, think through some of the best salespeople that I've trained over my life. I remember one particular guy was a Kirby vacuum cleaner salesperson. Think that through though. Knocking on doors. How much rejection would they have got? He was definitely desensitized to it. Someone selling gas and oil door to door. Okay. They're desensitized to that rejection. So, sales managers, heads of businesses, listening to this, let's help our brand new salespeople to overcome their natural resistance to rejection by making sure they get lots of little yeses before you get the big yes. Make sure you go and look at the mental ownership questions. And we've actually talked about that on this podcast. Go and find it. Make sure we do a test close, a trial close, okay? Because that makes the actual closing question so much easier. And make sure they're not just putting it in front of people and being quiet or saying, so what are your thoughts? What do you think? How's that sound? They've earned the right to ask for the business. And I think we just need to make sure we give them the confidence to ask for the business. Because you know what? Selling starts when we've asked that closing question. And then we can overcome the objections. And so often you'll close the sale by overcoming those objections. Guys, go out and look for no's. Look for the rejection. Desensitize your self-hurt. And I'll see you next time. That just leaves me to say that all details of this episode and other episodes on the selling in the motor trade can be found on our website, simcotraining.co.uk. Go there to get a copy of our book, Words That Sell Cars. Go there to sign up to a free trial of our Sales Fitness online sales training program. Easiest way to get hold of me is Simon Bowkett through LinkedIn. Thank you.